Oh my goodness. Good morning. Um, I didn't record my dreams last night. I did have a lot of dreams. I remember, I think I was at a Christmas party with my boyfriend, and he started making out with a man in front of me, and he was like, "Oh my God, it's just so hot. This is so hot." That's what I remember. I remember it's not, I don't have a current boyfriend in this reality, but it was an ex-boyfriend, so it was like, must have been a Christmas party from a long time ago. And I just remember him going gay in front of me and him saying, "Oh my God, this is so hot. It's so hot. It's so hot to be gay in front of your girlfriend at a Christmas party. It's just so hot to cheat on your girlfriend right in front of her face with a dude at a Christmas party. It's like the hottest like ever." Clearly that happened in some reality space and time. Clearly that obviously did happen. I want to say it's the real timeline bleeding through the chat, bleeding through the feed. That's what that was. It was the real timeline bleeding through the feed. My extremely homophobic ex-boyfriend actually being gay and actually being drunk and gay literally right in front of my face and like being like completely super into it. Yeah, so I want to say that was like the real timeline bleeding through. Level 1 bleeding through right in front of my face. That's what I remember. And I also remember Brandon saying, if you want to make her go crazy, we're going to switch the synapses in your brain and cause the same thing that happened to Hollywood stars to make them go crazy. Um, we're going to switch it around. The stuff that, like, I guess made Brandon go crazy, he's going to do it to anybody that tries to make me go crazy, and you're going to go crazy instead. And you're going to be living in a van down by the river for trying to make my girlfriend go crazy, is what Brandon said back to that scene. And I remember watching a lot of moms named Natalie Portman go crazy because of that statement. Um, and like literally losing it and just like not being able to function in space and time anymore. So it's like the fall of the brunettes, the fall of the brunette women is coming if it hasn't come already. I've seen a lot of brunette women go crazy in my day, so I want to say that this definitely did happen, and I've witnessed it a few times myself. Um, so yeah, those were the two moments that I remember. Also, I woke up and Brad Pitt was holding me, and Brad Pitt is also from level 1. So that's also evidence that the game did advance, and the simulation will now start filling around the level 1 game. And so we're probably going to see a lot of space anomalies because of that, more so than the pictures. We'll see even more space anomalies because of that. The pictures from the 80s that I showed you of my bedroom. It's kind of a short video. I don't know what else to talk about. Is there anything else to talk about? If I had seen my boyfriend go gay in front of me, which obviously did happen, I want to say that I was in an overlay, right? I was in an overlay when I was with that boyfriend, and of like a wholesome boyfriend, and or like wholesome-esque boyfriend, where like we would go to parties and we would like meet strangers and at the parties and like become friends with the strangers. And he was always like, I was pretty friendly. My friends would say that Alyssa's pretty friendly, and she would do that. I would always meet. I'm talking in third person because I'm talking from my friend's point of view, but they would say that I was pretty friendly and that I would become friends with pretty much anyone I would meet. And I remember this one time we went to. I'm thinking of a specific party, which was a New Year's Eve party that we went to in downtown LA. And we would usually go to like parties with like a few friends, but I don't know. I feel like we went there by ourselves for some reason, and but we ended up like meeting people. Like we ended up meeting strangers and becoming friends with them, right? At that party, like a group of people. And I would say I am friendly. I was always pretty friendly with meet people, but I would say he was extra friendly. He was always extra friendly and like would like really get down with like new people and like really like become friends with them. Like really, really like get down with like becoming friends with people. And oh, I do remember another part of the dream, and like I was at another party in a different dream, and we were partying, and I was embarrassed because I was partying in front of my mom. And my mom was like, "I don't care, Alyssa. I already told you I don't care if you want to party." And I was like running around kind of like trying to get away from my mom. And people were like being really nosy and like not not letting me like party with my friends in private at that party, and it was really getting on my nerves that like people like kept busting into our room and stuff and like wouldn't give us any privacy, and that's another part of the dream that I just remembered. But yeah, I want to say at that specific party in downtown LA, he was like extra friendly to the people we met. And I want to say that was an overlay of what happened, and what I dreamt of last night was actually what happened. And that's like starting to bleed through. Like he actually did cheat on me at that party, but it was a wholesome overlay of like me being held sweetly basically back then. But obviously that did happen, and it was rewritten by Brandon Lee pretty much automatically, and now I'm getting those new memories back of the real timeline of real Earth, how real people um treated me during my life. So it was even worse than like I remember, because he wasn't the best boyfriend. He was kind of abusive, and he was very controlling, and he was very manipulative. Um but he never did anything like that I remember. But I mean, controlling, manipulative, blah blah blah, all that stuff would kind of equate to a man doing stuff like that. But um, Brandon obviously overwrote that stuff at the time, so that I wasn't like extremely upset, probably. And those are real memories bleeding through the timeline of real Earth, which is, I guess, what we're saying is it was level one. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna start getting my level one memories back, and I'm gonna be like, wow, I thought planet Earth was like kind of mean to me, but it's gonna be like, oh, planet Earth was like extremely mean to me. I think that's kind of the direction we're going. If that's the direction you want to go. And like people like trying to like drive me crazy on purpose. Like I think that would be like considered trying to drive me crazy on purpose, like being like a controlling, manipulative, jealous boyfriend, and then literally cheating on me like right in front of my face. Like that would be even like make me even more crazy, right? So, um I want to say that it adds up with his personality. And um, okay, I'm going to say that definitely happened. Chris Evans is like, that means it definitely happened. And it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I'm always like, it kind of happened. Yeah, it definitely, it probably happened. It probably did happen like that. That's just like my language. I don't know why. But yeah, I want to say that was the real timeline. And I'm slowly getting those memories back. And the hurt that I would have felt, or the hurt, how do I describe that? Because these are memories I'm getting back. Because I don't really have feelings for him anymore. Now I'm just like, yeah, he seems the type to have done that to me. I can hear you guys discussing it on the airwaves. And my friend Teddy was like, he was not a closeted homosexual. If he did that in front of her face, he was an outright homosexual. Literally at the time that he cheated on her at the party with another man in front of her face. Okay. That's not a because they're saying, oh, you're outing your ex boyfriend as being gay. If he did that in front of her face at the party, he's not a closeted homosexual. He was an outright homosexual. He made out with a man in public in front of her at a party. That means he's an out. He's out as a homosexual. And those are my friends sticking up for me, which they've had to do their entire lives, and they are pretty used to it. That's what Teddy wants to say. Okay, and Teddy is a gay man, and it's pretty. And Teddy was obviously in our friend group, and it's pretty funny that you have like a homophobe who's like good friends with like a homosexual that's in our friend group. you know. Uh, okay. Um. Um. He's like, I think the anger is coming from the fact that he was what she said. He's a homophobe, and clearly he was at least bisexual, if not full out gay at the time. Because they're obviously listening in and getting these downloads with me, and then they're going over it with me. And so, anyway, the only way, so it's like he obviously did that to like piss me off or whatever. It's like he got mad at me at a party and like for whatever reason, maybe because I was partying a little too hard, for his taste, something like that. And he was like, well, I'm going to punish her and I'm going to show off my proclivities in front of her or something like that or whatever. You know what I mean? Something like that. He obviously did it. It was obviously real. Um, I'm working on my language barrier. I always say I kinda, I probably, and Chris Evans is always like, that means that's definitely. And I guess it is our little joke, but I do agree with Chris Evans. So anyway, I would always say that like homophobic men are usually like the most gay men. Because like, why would you hate a homosexual? I don't see like why would you hate somebody that decides to be a homosexual? I never understood that. Probably because I'm gay as well. You know what I mean? Like, so I just never, even if I was totally straight, I probably wouldn't be like, oh my God, that person's gay. Like, why would you hate somebody? It just never made any sense to me. Like, why would you hate somebody just because they're bisexual or they're gay? That never clicked with me. That never rang true to my soul. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's sort of like racism. It's like, why would you hate somebody just because they have a different skin color? And you know what I mean? And then there's like certain like cultural, I mean, this is totally a tangent or whatever, but like, you don't like them because like they have a different culture than you. Like, aren't you guys still human? Can't you like don't you guys still have to like exist in the society? I never understood stuff like that either. Like, um, um, but yeah, so I want to say that definitely happened at a party, and if I had seen that at the party at the time, I would have lost my shit. I would have lost my fucking shit on him because, um, number one, he's homophobic. Number two, he was so jealous and controlling. Number three, he knew I was bisexual and he would always get mad at me for being bisexual. And that's why I would always say he was homophobic because he would get so mad at me if I talked about girls in like a romantic fashion. He would get so angry at me for being bisexual and being like out about it and being like open. Like I never had a boyfriend like him. Like if like that, like I couldn't talk about being myself in front of myself. I never had a boyfriend like that. I always had a boyfriend where like yeah, I used to hook up with her or something like that, and it would like not be a big deal. And it was always like a huge deal to him and it'd make him like super duper angry and like want to go home like wherever we were. Like he would never want to have like a nice time at the bar. Like if it came up, obviously like it ruined like a lot of my friendships and stuff like that. And like I could just like never be myself around him because of it, and like I really shut down. It really shut down my throat chakra a lot being with this guy because I just wasn't accepted for being myself with him, and I felt like I had to like fit into like a container, like fit into like a more like appropriate like 3D like successful graphic designer container because of the way that he acted towards me. So all of that, if I saw him if I saw him be gay right in front of me at a party with him the way he was with me, with him being like such a like jerk about me being bisexual, I would have lost my shit on him. I would have like, completely like told him off and like been angry and everything like, why is it okay for you to be gay and like not okay for me to be gay? Like what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? And that obviously did happen. I didn't get the download of like what happened after. I just got like the download of like him doing it in front of my face. But I can tell you the person I am, how I would have reacted given our relationship at the time. And so I welcome more of those memories to bleed through and give me the real timeline back. Um, yeah, and he would probably say something like, she has no right to be upset about this and like be manipulative and controlling about it or whatever. He would spin some kind of story about how like how for some reason I'm not allowed to be upset about that and he doesn't want to talk about it. He would say something like that. I never want to talk about this ever again. And he would just like stop the conversation. And because that was the type of person he was. And he would have spun it around somehow in a very manipulative, narcissistic fashion and made it all my fault. Uh, and like not taken any blame, or he would have like blamed his drunkenness, or he would have laughed in my face and been like, I was drunk and I was like maybe inspired by like, your bisexual stories and something like that. He would have probably did or said something like that. Um, so it would have been really awful. It would have been really, really awful. And obviously, Brandon overwrote that because he didn't want it to be that extremely awful for me. And I'm going to say that ex boyfriend obviously went crazy right after that experience. Obviously, he went super crazy after that experience. And that's why he brought that up. And people are trying to make me go crazy today. Random people are trying to make me go crazy today. And that was fair warning. Fair warning, trying to make Elissa go crazy, seem crazy, backlash, whiplash. It's going to be 10 times worse for you. You're not going to be able to function. You're going to be living in a van down by the river. Okay. Like, we just said it, right? Like, how many people live van life now? Like, how many people are actually like experiencing that where they're actually going crazy and they're keeping it to themselves? Because there's probably a lot of people out there, and maybe some people will start talking about it, how like they're living that life because they're literally going crazy or something. I think that's kind of fair. I think that's sort of a book report, but that's obviously like using my data for views. So it's kind of both at this point because I'm the princess and I should be put in my castle literally today and I shouldn't even have to be going through this, but here we are. So, oh yeah, and I wanted to say that the only reason that was allowed to happen was because consciousness was given out so freely then. And consciousness, when that happened, I want to say consciousness was pretty widely experienced. It was pretty evenly given out. And if I get more downloads about it, like, because this timeline's probably going to travel backwards and it might update that timeline. But as of now, consciousness was given out pretty freely back then. My consciousness, all consciousness is Alyssa's consciousness, and consciousness was given out pretty freely back then because this is back in like 2007, around then. And it was a pretty widespread consciousness game. I think consciousness was worldwide then, but the simulation might be changing and it might be updated or whatever, and we'll see. It might go backwards and it might change that timeline. But the only reason he was allowed to cheat and it for it to be hot is because consciousness was a widely expressed thing at that time, and so the man that he cheated on had consciousness at the time, and so did he. And that was the only reason he was allowed to cheat and it to actually be felt between the two individuals and it for it to be a hot experience. Because without my consciousness, there's no feeling, there's nothing there, right? That, like I said, like a lot of you guys are playing nothing's there. And now consciousness isn't freely as given out because you're not listening to me and not putting me in my castle and not giving me Tim and Hayden and Ezra and all the rest of them. And because of that, consciousness is receding. Consciousness is receding. And that is reflected in a lot of men's hairlines and also women's hairlines. Consciousness is receding because you're not listening to me and that I need to be put in my castle and be treated as royalty and not be ignored in my own goddamn video game, okay? But yeah, so the only reason that was able to happen at the time and for him to like use anger against me was because consciousness was a freely given substance at the time, a freely given drug, if you will. Consciousness was a freely given drug at the time. And because you don't get high from like making out with like a random stranger, of course you do, right? and like on and like on top of it, in front of like the love of your life, like your steady girlfriend for like years and years and years, like add that on top of it, and that's even more of a high if consciousness is a freely given substance. Um, but nowadays that probably wouldn't be able to happen, and that's probably why humanity's fighting back the way it is and being so mean and angry to me and like not letting me live at will, because they're literally not allowed to do stuff like that at parties, and they know that they wouldn't be able to get away with that at a party for a multitude of reasons. And one of the reasons would be that the consciousness would recede immediately and there would be no feeling in either men, and they would both be two ghosts just kissing each other with no feeling, with no consciousness. There would be nothing there. And that's what a lot of people are experiencing this Christmas is nothing there, and everyone's ghosts, and there's no feeling because you're doing all of this crappy sexuality behind my back, and being abusive to other humans that don't deserve the abuse, to these beautiful, innocent people of planet Earth. And so we're sucking back our consciousness. Me, the creator, is sucking back her consciousness because I do not agree with these human abuse tactics. These human proclivities don't agree with my soul, and has nothing to do with being gay or straight. It has to do with being abusive and manipulative and controlling and mean, and thinking that a human being has any power over an immortal queen god, me. And that's why this is happening. And go ahead and get angry at that. Like, you're just going to make it that much worse. You know I can feel like people getting angry at that. And that's just going to make it so much worse, because you think like you can, didn't they say like, we don't need you at parties, Elissa. We don't need you anymore. We don't need you, or whatever. Because like we found like we see you in like everywhere we go. We see Elissa wherever we go. So we don't need the real Elissa because we see Elissa everywhere we go. You see my consciousness. You see my consciousness everywhere you go. And that's owned by me, the one molecule. And I have a right to suck back my consciousness. I have a right to the New World Order, and I have a right to overrule this game in a very big way, because you're so conceited that you think that your mortal good looks have any freaking control in this game whatsoever, when it literally doesn't. So there's no consciousness in the building except for me, as far as I can tell right now for this Christmas. So y'all are ghosts. So I'm talking to a bunch of ghosts. Okay. So that's why you're not allowed to abuse and use me or my court. And that's why this is happening. And you keep thinking you can use and abuse my court. And you can't. So we're pulling back the consciousness. Brad Pitt's overlaying himself in me for a very good reason, and that is to reintegrate level 1 into the one molecule. It's to get the party started. That's what we do to get the party started. That's why I was Brad Pitt this morning. And so he's overlaying his memories from level 1 into me, and those will be fully integrated by the spring, they want to say. So come early fall, you won't even know who you are anymore. I don't know if I'm channeling someone that's completely with it today when I say stuff like that. Okay, this just dissolved into light, and this is a little power box, for your phone. So that just dissolved into light. So that just died because of what I was saying. Because it's kind of it's probably an amalgamation of faith, Brad Pitt, but and I don't fully channel amalgamation of faith people because it's kind of both sides. Brad Pitt's not an amalgamation of faith person. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying he's being influenced by the amalgamation of faith. Brad Pitt is a part of my court. So yeah, think twice before you use anger against me, the queen, and think that like you have any control over my consciousness whatsoever, or that you can make me angry with my own consciousness whatsoever. You know, Krista was basically talking about this last night, and how people switch in and out depending on like how you act towards them. So, and we're seeing that more and more. I know that's like the 4-2 face coming online, and that happened in Battle Royale last night too, which I encourage you guys to watch. The 4-2 face was coming online, and depending on how the body acts, depending on how the soul acts, depended on what person they became, which 4-2 person they actually became. The person, either the person against me or the person for me. And that's obviously happening in real life, literally today. It's not just happening in the movie. So yeah, I want to say he thought that he could control my consciousness back then, and he definitely did that out of anger, to anger me back, and to try to use my own consciousness against me. And it didn't work then, and it's not going to work today. And the power of my consciousness is just going to get even more stronger with me talking about it and giving all of my consciousness more confidence by talking about it. And Brandon Lee was with me back then, even if I wasn't aware of it. And he's with me now today. And he is my protector, and he also is my 4-2 face. And I shapeshift into him all the time. And I've talked about that on here. So know you're dealing with immortals, and it's just impossible for you to anger the queen anymore in that given manner. But that's why I have to update my memories and get my memories back. And that technology is probably going to go backwards. And that's what's going to get us to level 1 faster. Sorry to say, but that technology probably is going backwards right now, and replacing that extremely hot gay experience with 2 ghosts kissing each other. And that would mean what's happening today is now happening in 2000 whatever. And then that past timeline will then repopulate the simulation going forward. And so if that happened all the way back then in 2007, that means we're way farther down today, is what it means. That we've dropped as a society way farther down today. And that level 1 would probably be fully filled in today. And that's how the simulation fills in around events, and how the past and the future are malleable given how you treat the princess in the current moment. And so we can fall or we can rise at any current moment and change the location to a stable location to an unstable location in a matter of seconds, depending on how you treat the princess in the current moment. Sort of depends on how the simulation's going to fill in, and it's probably going to start filling in a lot faster and faster and faster. And that's why I said the game is probably about to become extremely weird. I remember saying that like a week or something ago. I was like, I think this game's going to about to be really weird. And I think it's due to individuals' decisions on how they treat the princess in the current moment, and the simulation thus responding in a given time manner, and then catching up to itself, and then that happening and causing the quickening to happen. Oh, they said that was the event that happened that basically caused the gates of Amenti to open for a split second last night, and put me in my space portal for a split second. The room turned bright purple, turned like heavenly purple. for a split second, and that was the memory that was bleeding through at the time that caused the gates of Amenti to open and to put us in the space portal for a brief second. And so if more of these memories start bleeding through, which I believe they will, then it's going to cause the space bubble to open more and more and the gates of Amenti to open more and more, because it's the true reality of what actually happened to me, and then how humanity has treated me my entire life, and the simulation will fill in around that. And you are choosing to let humanity fall right now, in the current moment, by not treating me like royalty. You're choosing that. Humanity is choosing that, to not treat me like royalty, and choosing to have space fill in. Humanity could choose to treat me like royalty and cause a much more pleasurable and kinder experience for all of humanity, instead of fighting against me every second of every day and causing the space bubble to take over because humanity is not being responsive at this time of your space. All right, thank you.